Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. And I gotta say, a phenomenal episode of NXT Wednesday Night Wrestling. So fantastic, so glorious. We start with Lucha Underground, we punctuate the night with NXT, and it delivered in full. Some quality matches, some great last minute hype for next week's main event, 2 out of 3 falls, Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe, and a promising new rivalry, it seems, with the debut that we got tonight on NXT. I love this episode from top to bottom. Ashton, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, this was a really, really fun episode of NXT. I'm going to go ahead and say I think this is my favorite beginning to end episode of NXT since TakeOver London.
I'd have to agree with that assessment. I just feel like this episode was on point.
And to add to that, I think we got, to this day at least so far, our WWE match of the year tonight.
Would that being the main event, I presume?
Correct.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. I already saw, some of the reviews on Twitter. Oh, Balor and Neville, they tore the house down.
And I was skeptical. I saw those tweets and I saw that as a challenge. Like, oh yeah, I'm sure it's not going to be as good as everyone else is saying it is. And then it came on and it had that slow build where they kind of started out with the technical stuff and the counters and, just kind of feeling each other out. And by the end, they were going 90 miles an hour and I was invested 100%. It was great.
You and me both, my friend. With that said, let's get right into our first segment. Heat of the night. No heats of the night tonight. I feel like this NXT delivered on all fronts. We're, heading towards NXT TakeOver Dallas. And, that reminds me, we even got a little hiccup, or should I say roadblock. And NXT is going to be a part of that as well, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. So I'm good for tonight. No heats tonight. What about you, Ashton?
Yeah, NXT did a really good job tonight of just kind of making all the right decisions. I like what they did with the Emma, Dana Brooke, Asuka, everything going on there thing, where they kind of used that to transition into what was happening tonight. Every match was at least good, if not really good, if not great. We had some storyline progression. We had a debut that got cut short in the best way possible. I think everything that happened tonight was the right thing to happen. And I think it just worked out really well.
Completely agree.
And I'll even say this. I think that tonight was the first time ever that I actually felt maybe a little tiny bit of investment in the Hype Bros.
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't mad at that either. I didn't loathe that or groan or any of those negative connotations when describing a Hype Bros segment.
Yep.
To be honest, I looked upon it a little bit more favorably. And if you guys want to know why, well, we'll get to that segment later in the show.
Exactly.
So with that said, let us get right into our NXT review. And we've got the Vaudevillains opening up. They are in action, Ashton.
Yeah, and they're in action against Hugo, Knox, and Tucker Knight. And I do want to say we got two, let me rephrase that. We got 3 enhancement talents, jobbers, whatever you want to call them tonight. And I saw 2 of the 3 that I think have a brighter future in the company, potentially going on to be actual stars.
Yes.
Now, the one exception out of that group is Tucker Knight because, he basically just looks like a taller Bull Dempsey.
Right. I would agree with you there.
But Hugo Knox, and then later on in the night, we saw Steve Cutler, who used to have a bunch of tag matches. We used to make fun of him for his name because he sounds like he has a trust fund, signs in Wisconsin. And those Steve Cutler and Hugo Knox, I think, showed me something tonight that leads me to thinking that they are going to be more than just jobbers in the future.
Well, I think particularly Steve Cutler, not necessarily because I was more impressed with him, but actually because commentary, I think, fleshed him out a bit more.
We got backstory.
Marine.
Really matters.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get that kind of backstory, when you get that kind of fleshing out, it's good to pay attention to that. But as far as this opener, Hugo Knox and Tucker Knight, They, they tried. That's the best I could say. But when your enhancement talents in a tag match against, especially newly turned Vaudevillains, even though nothing really is too different, they still have the same upbeat music. I mean, we went through the critique a few weeks ago. You guys can go back to that episode and see it. But yeah, nothing's really changed with the Vaudevillains except they're quote unquote more aggressive. And I'm actually beginning to loathe that phrase, to be honest, when describing heels. So just be more aggressive. But Vaudevillains do make quick work of this team. They do win with the whirling dervish. I mean, no post-match promo or anything on the hype bros of this and that. So I will say, if I had any, and we call it the pickiest of nits here at TWitWoW, criticisms about this show, like, I know that these two are in a program. It would have been nice to hear from the Vaudevillains a little bit, but I did like what they technically did together, these two teams, later in the night, so I guess I could look over it. But yeah, pretty dominant matchup here, pretty dominant showing for the Vaudevillains.
Yeah, I mean, this was, again, just kind of reestablishing, like, now they're bad guys, they're overly aggressive, just kind of...
Right.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
So anything else you want to say about this match?
No, I think Hugo Knox has a lot of upside. He's got a great look. He showed that he's very athletic tonight. I liked some of the facial expressions and body language that we saw from him tonight, especially the sell of the Vaudevillains double team man up, or dukes up move where they punch his face on either side.
Right.
He did a great job selling that. Like, he just plopped on his ass. It was great. It looked like he just got, like, knocked out and just like, okay, I give up on life. It was pretty great. But yeah, I think he reminds me of Mark Jindrak.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad comparison, because I can see why you'd get that vibe from him.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. Maybe Tucker Knight has a future. We'll see.
I said Hugo Knox.
Or Hugo Knox. My mistake.
Yeah.
Hugo Knox. We'll see if he has a future, because he
Tucker
definitely
Knight
does.
The one that looks like Tall Bull Dempsey.
Right.
Hugo Knox is the one that was in shape.
So the Vaudevillains get the win. They roll on. They're now 2-0 since their turn. So I'm still predicting. I think I even said this a few weeks back, that I think newly healed Vaudevillains, when American Alpha win the titles, I could see Vaudevillains being their first program, because the American Alpha beating them was kind of the catalyst for them to turn in the first place.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
You kind of have a story in place. All right, bro. What came after this?
We had an Alex Reyes interview with Emma and Dana Brooke. Dana basically says, we run this place and whatever we say happens ends up happening, which was in response to Alex Reyes reminding them that Deonna Purrazzo lost to Asuka again last week. Basically, Dana just saying, like, yeah, of course it happened because we said it would happen. And then Emma says, yeah, and, Asuka took care of Deonna just like I'm going to take care of my opponent tonight. And you're about to be emasculated in 3, 2, 1, and then Dana pats Alex Reyes on the head.
I really do like these two together. I think it took some initial warming up because, Dana Brooke, but I think these two are great. Quick side note that's completely irrelevant. Happy belated birthday to Emma. It was her birthday yesterday. I already wished it to her on Twitter, but I'd like to wish it to her again here. Hope she had an amazing day. She deserves one. She's one of the best talents NXT has, male or female. And yeah, I enjoyed the work here. It was pretty much more or less saying, hey, you know what? We hit a rough patch. We're going to get back on the horse. We're going to do what we do, and that's just be the best.
How crazy is it, dude? As good as Emma is, she's only 27, dude.
I know, dude.
Like, she just turned 27. You just said it was her birthday. I looked it up. She turned 27 yesterday.
Yeah. Crazy. And the talent I gush over the most, whether I'm really a big fan of them or not, the talent I respect the most, I should say, is the one with youth on their side. Just when you're that good at that kind of age,
at only 27
years old. Yeah. and I do the same freaking out for Sasha Banks being so young. I think Sasha Banks is the same
only like
age.
22 or 23, dude.
Yeah, like 23. So, like, yeah, it's just crazy how great, especially the women, you notice, because I know WWE does like to pick them up when they are younger, but to be this good at the same time in the ring is just so wonderful. And
it's weird because, like, if you look at every talent that the WWE signs, it seems like the women that they do sign, there's a much higher hit rate on who ends up working out for them.
Right.
Because, like, if they sign 100 men and 100 women, and I don't think they've signed 100 women in the last decade, but if they would sign 100 men and 100 women, it seems like maybe like 80 to 85 of those women would work out, and like 20 of the dudes, if that.
I wonder how much is due to Sarah Del Rey being an amazing coach, and how much is just due to getting those superstars with that international flavor, that kind of international experience, so they already kind of know what they're doing coming in.
Yeah, and I was even going to say, I wonder how much that has to do with the WWE's hiring policy, because it seems to me like they go after the women that already know what they're doing, and the women they do kind of bring in as models, typically they keep them kind of under the learning tree for longer than they do with the guys.
Yeah, you know what? I guess in a way, when you look at the WWE infrastructure, that makes sense, because I mean, this is like a male-dominated, at least in WWE industry.
It just seems like for every fresh woman that they hire who's never wrestled before, who has very little wrestling experience, they hire 10 guys with just as little experience.
Right, and I think the point I was getting at is I think they like the idea of building guys from the ground up when you know that they're not going to expend as much energy on the women. They just want them to know what they're doing, I guess, straight away, because it's not like they're going to do much with them anyway. I mean,
look at the women that they have tried to build from the ground up. Eva,
right,
Dana.
Yeah,
it's not a very, very prestigious group of women.
Yeah, certainly not. And, I'm certainly not going to complain when you get, be it male or female, talents that have experience coming in, and maybe they just need to work on the finer things. Like Finn Balor, I remember from an interview, the big thing was working the stage, knowing where cameras are, working that entrance, just taking the whole atmosphere in your entrance, right. Little things like that. And Emma, I just think since turning heel, bringing it full circle, has just been so good. And any problems that she had, when she was originally working face, I think, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, she's better than she's ever been. Like, this is the best work of her career. In fact, I'll be honest.
At this point right now, she is hands down my number one favorite female worker on NXT. And that's a group that even does include girls like Asuka and Alexa and Bayley, etc. Emma is number one for me right now.
And obviously, I completely agree with you.
I'm saying, she's won me over that much. Like, I've always liked Emma, but she's become my favorite.
And, it's so funny, Ashton, because I love her in NXT to the point where when we were watching that atrocious Raw that I just hope that I never have to relive ever again, she
until SmackDown when we get replays from every segment.
Oh, God, yeah, you're right. Shit. But we get Emma on her Twitter, right? She tweets a picture of herself, and she's like, I think this Raw needs a little something. Now, I don't disagree, right? That if Emma was on that Raw, it would have bumped up a few notches for me. But I was going to tweet her back, but then I got lost because I think somebody else was talking to me. That no, don't you leave your post at NXT. They do not need to muck you up again. Because, see, that's the thing. I'd love this heel Emma challenging maybe like a future Divas champion Becky on the main roster for the title. I just don't trust them to use Emma correctly like NXT has used her. She's doing quality work. I don't want her to go anywhere anytime soon. Yeah. Just amazing stuff.
Definitely.
All right.
Man.
Yeah, definitely, man. Unless you have anything else you want to say, I'm good, so we can move on.
All right, up next we had the first of two vignettes building up tonight's main event. Finn Balor. We just kind of got an overview of what he is, who he is, what he's all about, that kind of stuff. We didn't really get anything new here, just a really well done video package to build up the Balor Neville match later on tonight.
Yeah, I love, again, this is a match that was just announced last week.
Yep.
And in 1 week, they're talking about this is a celebration of the NXT Championship, and you get the video packages. I just love the effort that NXT puts forward, man. Because I don't even think you could say that Raw puts in that effort, even when they have big matches on their shows, on a rare occasion. I just think NXT always puts his, best foot forward, so to speak. And yeah, this is a fine video package. Really hyped for the main event. Good stuff.
Yeah. So up next, we got another viewing, I guess you could say, of Enzo Amore getting jumped in the parking lot by the Revival. And then the Revival cut a promo on Enzo and Cass. And then we find out that the match, Enzo and Cass versus the Revival, is happening at NXT or at WWE Roadblock, the pay-per-view or live special or whatever you want to call it that we're getting on March 12th as like the in-between show leading up to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm glad they're getting it out of the way here because that frees up TakeOver Dallas, baby. My boys American Alpha can still get in there potentially if they get like a number one contenders match or something between now and then, so here's to hoping. And yeah, I like the stuff from Enzo and Cass, pretty much Cass, because Enzo was just, kind of looking on. Cass all fired up, saying, you guys doing what you did, exposed yourselves as nothing but cowards. You're not going to take us out of the title picture, and we're going to, more or less finish this. We're going to come out on top. And then the Revival, primarily Scott Dawson, who I just love how the man embodies sleaze. I don't know, there's just something about him where he's like, yeah, I know I'm a scumbag, but you can't deny I'm talented. And then I just go, damn, you're right.
Yeah.
Because that's just
it's so weird you use the word sleaze, because that's like Joey Ryan's patented thing.
I know, he really is such, like, that chest hair, though. Oh, but regardless.
That lube, though.
The Scott Dawson's winning line to me, and I'm telling you, this guy's underrated as a talker. I don't want him to go on 15-minute soliloquies, but the winning line
you say he's underrated. That's most people underrate him, but I've been saying he's a good talker for a while now, brother.
That is true. I mean, you certainly have, so I know I'm in good company. But yeah, his winning line was, you want to get close to these NXT Tag Team titles, maybe we'll let you spit shine them. And then he just kind of laughs. And
just so demeaning, though. Like,
I know, again, like, what a scumbag. I love it. So good.
You would.
Oh, believe me, you haven't gotten to things that I've loved yet. We're going to get to that later in the show.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man. So what's next?
Up next was actually our second match of the night, the one that I actually enjoyed probably more than any but the main event. Emma versus Santana Garrett. And before we even talk about the match, these theme songs are both amazing. I love Santana Garrett's theme song, and Emma had my theme song of the year 2015. So that goes to show you just how good this stuff is.
Oh, yeah. I can tell you, when Santana Garrett's theme gets a full release, none of that garbled crap of, like, crowd chants and this and that, I am YouTubing the shit out of it, because I was intrigued. From what I heard...
Yeah, dude, I actually have Emma's theme song is available for download on Rhapsody, and I have it on my phone because of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the theme music's great. As far as the match, I was a fan of this match.
Dude.
If the main event wasn't so good, honestly, this would have been my match of the night, because I love the story they told in this match.
Emma is so good. Her brutality and relentlessness. She will take the lead, and then while she's on top of you, she will stomp your face into the mat.
You know what?
Literally and figuratively, because she did a curb stomp tonight, too.
Yes. One thing that I love about Emma, besides everything, that I really caught note of, I just thought I had to emphasize that point. Because I was waiting for you to be like, besides everything, so I thought, no, I'm going to beat everybody to the punch.
No, I was just going to say, like, one of many things that you love about Emma.
Yeah, and I don't know if, like, this is a consistent thing with her, but, I mean, I guess different matches all notice different things. It's just how weird I am. But one thing I noticed in this match that I really liked, Emma's ability to work a hold. Because there's a point in the match, right, where she's got Santana Garrett's arm, she's pulling him back, and she's got the knee in the back. Yeah. I don't know the technical name for that hold. I've seen people do it before, but she's working it. But then at one point, she releases that hold, but she quickly transitions into a rear chin lock, and she's kneeing Santana Garrett in the back, and then she goes back to the arm hold. I love it. It's just a simple thing. So even that kind of hold where you're catching your breath, where you're doing everything, Emma is engaged, Emma's being heelish, and she's being proactive. I really like that, because I feel like most guys, they work that hold, mainly like kind of like a sleeper hold or like headlock, and then they wait for the guy to regain vertical, and it's fine, you go through the motions, but I like that Emma can work a hold and still keep me engaged because things are happening. She's keeping momentum. It's not static. So I really appreciated that. Another great spot I felt like was Santana Garrett going to the top rope, but then she gets, straddled on there by Emma. Emma has the counter, and she's just really working Santana Garrett over in there, especially the kicks to the small of the back, and Dana's telling the ref, we know the rules, like, she's just such a great mouthpiece now. She's really coming to her own in that role. And here I'm thinking, well, because they were really chanting Santana. She was over. Emma did her job getting her over, getting her that sympathy. Here I thought maybe Emma would have done a spot, I don't know, like a shoulder thrust in the ring post, and then Santana does like a pin or something. No, Emma just takes her down. I love how just cold and efficient she is. And then not long after that, to your point, she gets the curb stomp, and then the Emma lock. And yeah, she gets the win. So all those people chanting Santana, I bet that fried egg tastes real good on your face, doesn't it? That was fantastic.
Why does the egg have to be fried, John? Why can't it be scrambled?
Well, because I like fried eggs. And to be fair, I like scrambled eggs. But I mean, it's on the face. That's really all that matters. Not really how you serve it. So there you go.
How about a face omelet?
That works. I ain't gonna get any qualms from me. Point is, Santana Garrett tapped out, so I mean they served that up real nice. It's like Santana, oh, you tapped out.
Yeah, instead of Santana, it's Santana. Aw.
Exactly.
It was a really good match, though, especially on Emma's part. I mean, don't get me wrong, Santana Garrett, phenomenal talent. Not going to even attempt to say that she was anything short of excellent in this match. Her babyface fire. She's got that fire that you look for in a really good babyface. But Emma is on another level right now. Honestly, I think that the most disappointing thing about NXT lately is that I'm beginning to slowly realize that we're only ever going to get Emma versus Asuka on an NXT TakeOver once. And we already saw it, and it was amazing, and I want it more, but we're not going to get it more probably.
I think my disappointment, first of all, just to give some praise to Santana Garrett, because I could talk about Emma all day. I do agree with you completely about the babyface fire. I loved her comeback when she's getting those clotheslines and she lets out this primal scream like she's into it. She knows
she screamed like 8 times in a row. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. Like she was like, you're not gonna push me around. Sick of your crap. And then she asserts herself, and it's amazing. Emma, one more point I want to make about that, and then I promise I'll be done here. I think the disappointing thing to me, if I'm really being honest with myself, I don't see her as ever, and I think we even had a discussion about this, I don't ever really see her becoming NXT Women's Champion. I'm going to use a phrase that you've often used. I think she's always going to be the one, often the bridesmaid, but never the bride. She'll be like the gatekeeper to whoever's like close to being that number one contender.
So she's basically female Tyler Breeze.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, it's coincidental because they were both trained at Storm Wrestling Academy.
Yeah, wow, that's almost poetry right there. Painful poetry, but poetry nonetheless. Yeah, I think she could be champion on really either brand, main roster or NXT, Divas Champion or NXT Women's Champion. But I just, not right now. Maybe ever. I hope not ever, because I'd love to see her have gold. I'd love that markout video that I'd have on my end, and you too, because I know you're loving her right now and always have. But I just don't really see it coming together, at least in the immediate future. But still, one hell of a talent, though. They are so lucky to have her as a heel in their women's division, because to me, yeah, Eva and Nia are good, but if you really want that heel that can work the match and get, you know what? I think so. I think Nia Jax is good simply because she's got the presence going for her and she knows how to use it.
Yeah,
Eva's still got that go away heat.
Both Eva and Nia.
Yeah, and I was getting ready to say Eva's just got that go away heat, but to NXT's credit, I should say more NXT's credit, they know how to utilize it.
Yeah. So it's not so much that they're good; it's that NXT uses them well.
Yeah, I think that's better phrased. But Emma is legitimately good. I think you could put her in any situation.
AJ
and she
Styles
proved it tonight.
Is, step aside AJ. Emma is the true phenomenal one here.
Certainly, yeah, because I think she proved it tonight because she got Santana, just really working her over with the crowd. Now, she probably would have been regardless, but I think Emma certainly didn't hurt matters. So, good stuff.
Yeah, Emma's so good. Up next, we had Eva and Nia Jax, speaking of which, in William Regal's office. Great transition there, John. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but if you did, good job. And William Regal tells them that he's got a tag match set up for these girls because they are big time now, and that their next tag team match is against Bayley and Asuka.
Yeah, I love it. I love that every woman, no matter how big or small or whatever they are, whenever Asuka's name comes up, the atmosphere in the room changes.
Except for Emma. She stood up to her, man. She might not have beaten her, but she did so well in that match.
She did well in the match, but in the lead-up, you could tell when they were watching the footage and stuff, even though Emma took the fight to Asuka, she knew what she was in for.
Oh, yeah.
And she wasn't too happy about it. And I think Eva and Nia could be described as the same. Particularly Nia. We know she'll bring it in the tag match. But they're not happy that they're going to be standing across from her. I'd like to meet the person, actually, that'd be standing across from Asuka and just be happy they're going to have a match with her, because I would give them a coupon for a free psychological examination. Yes, that's how many times I've been there, folks. I get free coupons now. But, yeah, they've got a tag team match
this is almost like the combination of a dream match for me, because to me, what I really, really wanted, I wanted there to be some kind of like a midterm pay-per-view between London and Dallas. And I know that in the week or two after NXT TakeOver London, I kept on saying, like, there's got to be another TakeOver special between now and Dallas. There's got to be, and there's not going to be. But these are the two matches that I wanted. I wanted Asuka versus Eva, and I wanted Bayley versus Nia in a return match. And I would have had Asuka and Bayley win, and I would have had them go against each other at Dallas. So, frick, man. I mean, actually, I think my original plan was to have Nia win and have Nia versus Asuka, because then it's like the Clash of the Titans. But this works almost as well, if not just as well.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, man. I think this tag match will suffice for its purposes, and, I think we're still inevitably building towards, well, I shouldn't say inevitably building towards Bayley versus Asuka at Dallas. I would think that would be the match you'd want, because it's such a big show, because it's the show before WrestleMania.
Dude, that's something I was actually thinking about earlier. Can you just think about this? Roman Reigns isn't going to be on WWE television for the next 2 episodes of Raw. And then in 3 weeks, they're going to bring him out in front of the Philadelphia crowd. And then the week after that, they're going to bring him out in front of a Brooklyn crowd. And then 5 days after that, we get NXT TakeOver Dallas. And then they expect Roman to get cheered at the same venue, or not at the same venue, but in the same city at WrestleMania, when he's probably going to take the title off Triple H.
Yeah, he's 150% screwed.
Yeah.
That's not going to go over well. And honestly, like, I've tried to be sympathetic to Roman. I'm still sympathetic to Roman, and less sympathetic, obviously, towards the writers and the bookers and just the infrastructure. This, though, that's ridiculous. Like, missing 2 weeks when it's the road to WrestleMania and you need to be a part of the build. Like, and that's
3
the
weeks
main
if you count
event,
this
dude.
Monday.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He was absent this Monday, too.
Yeah, and like what you expect, and again, I'd forgive it. Really, I've been forgiving of it when it's a Brock Lesnar match or whatever. But not only is this not a Brock Lesnar match, so that already hurts you because you don't have the attraction going in. This is your main event. Because honestly, right now, if Roman isn't even going to show up, and I'm just being honest, when you look at it on paper, Shane Taker looks more worthy to be the main event. And to keep it, to keep focus, I could never see NXT doing something like that. I mean, yeah, with the roster rotation, not everybody's going to show up every single week. But with a main event as big as what we could potentially be getting, whether it's Zayn versus Balor or Joe versus Balor, because we're going to find out next week in the 2 out of 3 falls match, that there would always be some kind of build with either guy. I mean, I just really couldn't see them dropping the ball like this. I think this is a major dropping of the ball by the main roster, and that's just what makes NXT so much better, because they know what they want to do. They have a vision. They commit to it. They don't do a million rewrites, and you could just see the brilliant product that it is every week.
And I mean, just looking at the NXT TakeOver Dallas card, I mean, think back to NXT TakeOver Our Evolution, how that was the Wednesday before TLC that year. And that show was so incredible. And then TLC, we had this report come out in between where the main roster guys were feeling salty and they were going to put on a really, exceptional effort to try and put on the best show possible to try and one-up NXT. Have fun, WrestleMania. Have fun. Because I'm assuming based on what we've seen, it's going to be Finn versus either Sami or Joe, depending on the result of next week's match. Which, I mean, either one of those matches is going to be great. Nakamura is officially in NXT, and I'm guessing he'll probably have a match at Dallas. Bayley versus Asuka looks like it's basically inevitable. And I'm guessing because they're probably going to keep the titles in the match against Enzo and Cass, we're going to get the Revival versus American Alpha. Those matches alone, and I mean, after tonight, which we're about to get to, literally like right now, I'm guessing Baron Corbin and Austin Aries are probably going to have a match at NXT TakeOver Dallas as well, and that match is going to be great. So,
oh my God, this segment. Yeah.
Dallas, but still,
yeah.
Just looking at the card looks amazing. And WrestleMania, the card looks barely even acceptable. And unacceptable if you ask me personally, but I know that there are some people that are looking forward to at least 2 or 3 matches. So.
Oh yeah, but when you compare it to Dallas, I agree with you, and I'm looking forward to Ambrose, Lesnar, and all that stuff. But I'd have to agree with you. It is unacceptable because the show that Vince probably barely watches and that a lot of people probably still only consider as developmental is beating the shit out of you right now.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other way to put it. I gotta be blunt about it, because even the Austin Aries Baron Corbin matchup, I guarantee, and this is just my opinion, and forgive me if I sound a little salty, the only reason that matchup will be quote unquote bad in some people's eyes is because some people are still under the delusion that Baron Corbin can't work. Whatever the hell that even means anymore. I've been loving Baron Corbin's matches lately. I thought the match that he had.
I have noticed that there are a lot of people coming around on Corbin, and a lot of people now are starting to say, like, yeah, he's good. His gimmick is perfect for NXT because of all the indie guys that are coming through there, and he kind of has this gimmick hater or this indie hater gimmick. And, people are starting to come around on him. It's about time, but people are indeed starting to warm up to Baron Corbin, I think.
Yeah. This was just, I'm glad to hear that, because even that match, I think that match could be like one of the more underrated matches of the show when we look back on it, because I could
say that match. Let's make it this match, because let's actually talk about it now, because after the Regal segment with Nia and Eva, we do get William Regal in the ring. He brings out Austin Aries, and Austin Aries is enjoying his big sort of reveal to the NXT crowd, and next thing you know, he gets jumped from behind by Baron Corbin. Corbin beats the ever-loving shit out of him, just destroys Austin Aries, and then at the end, he holds up Aries' shirt, throws it at Regal, and says an eye for an eye. So I guess this is Corbin's way of not only kind of taking it to the fresh new indie face in town, but also taking it to Regal, who took Baron Corbin's title shot away from him that he feels entitled to.
The last time I laughed so hard during a segment was when Colin Cassidy got his leg shattered and aggravated his ACL. This was magnificent.
It was a strained MCL, by the way.
Well, I said aggravated. I didn't say torn, so aggravated, strained, tomato. But regardless, he was in pain.
Tomato your tomato.
I'm sure you will. But the bottom line is, brass tacks is, he was in pain, and I was laughing. Same thing as tonight. Austin Aries comes out, his shirt, he's posing like he's some kind of god. Fans try and touch him, I notice. Oh, please, Austin, please acknowledge me. Oh, Austin got acknowledged by somebody, all right. Baron Corbin, who we didn't even see coming. He beat the shit out of Austin Aries. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I don't hate Austin Aries, and this is me speaking sincerely now, but I've never really been a big fan of his. I've never really seen what the big deal is about Austin Aries. I think really his rise started. A lot of people really took stock of him, from what I understand, and in Ring of Honor. So maybe I have to see his work there.
His work, dude, he was such a good heel in ROH. He actually, if I remember correctly, he was the manager for the All Night Express for a period of time before he went to TNA, and they kind of broke off and did their own thing.
Right. And his work in TNA, because that's what I primarily saw, certainly wasn't bad, and I think NXT is the perfect environment for him. I'm happy for Austin Aries. I'm just not as jazzed about this as other signings. Like, when you compare it to, Joe and now Nakamura most recently, blows it out of the water, for me personally. So, to me, yeah, I did enjoy this beatdown, because I'm sick and tired of Baron Corbin getting passed over. He should have gotten an NXT Championship match by now. He's the uncrowned champion of NXT, the Lone Wolf. And yeah, I thought him throwing an article of Austin Aries' clothing right in the face of William Regal. This segment was gold, and the end of days on the floor just looked brutal.
Dude, I think the most brutal looking spot in this match was when he threw Aries up against the video board on the side of the ring.
That was great. Dude, oh my God.
This beatdown was so convincing.
In fact, honestly, and I hate to be that guy, because I swear I don't have a vendetta against Austin Aries, I just have to be honest. The beatdown was so good, I don't like that Austin Aries seemed to recover. I mean, he didn't walk out on his own power or anything, but he seemed to recover a bit quickly and be responsive fairly quickly. I would have had him.
No, I mean, he was responsive fairly quickly, but I wouldn't say he recovered, because there were 3 refs there trying to help him up, and he was so taken aback by the beatdown that he wasn't even trying to get up at that point.
So you think it was fine? You didn't have any qualms with it? Because
Yeah,
I would have had.
I mean,
him,
he was
like,
just
out
he was
cold.
sitting there breathing heavily, and it looked like he kind of had this look on his face, like, damn, man, that hurt really bad, and all I wanted was to debut, and now I'm caught up in this shit between Regal and this jerk that just beat me up, and this is the worst day ever.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, Regal's facial expression sold the entire thing too. Just like, how dare you humiliate? Because not only does Regal, I think, take this as an affront against him, I think he would take this, being the professional that he is, as an affront against NXT. This was a moment for NXT. This is a moment for the NXT universe, and you come out here and you prioritize yourself. I'm telling you, man, Corbin is such a good heel. I know, like, if we take, what was that documentary series that NXT did? Now I'm having
Breaking
like a
Ground.
mind blank. Breaking Ground. Thank you, Ashton. If we take Breaking Ground legitimately, because I know it seems like a mixture of kayfabe and real life, whatever. If we take
I think it's meant to be kayfabe, but they peel the curtain back just enough to convince you that it's real.
Right, because I don't know if I can buy Corbin's like urgency to get to the main roster's legit. I'm sure a lot of guys do have that feeling, to be fair.
Yeah.
But like, he's such a good heel, and if I'm already getting up on my soapbox, right, and preaching how great Kevin Owens is if you just pull the trigger, what the hell makes anybody think that Baron Corbin will get you? Except, I will say this, he does seem to have the look that's more in line with WWE saying, okay, let's make a top heel out of this guy, or babyface for that matter.
I don't even agree with you on that, because he's
really?
got the smiley face on his chest,
Yeah, I really haven't noticed that in a while, but you're right.
I mean,
it's
definitely getting the core muscles worked out. Like, it's not as bad as it used to be. And I think that's also another reason why people are starting to come around on him, because he doesn't have the smiley face for a torso anymore. But I think it's going to take another year or two of him just working out relentlessly, trying to get that six-pack that Vince craves so religiously.
If he does that, if he's able to achieve that, good luck everybody else, because Vince already
because basically you've got another Batista in the making.
Yeah, which I don't really think I'd mind this too much, and I would never want to hold it against Corbin, because right now, if he could keep up this quality of work, I'd have no complaints. He's exceptional, and I'm glad that people are coming around on him, because you know what? It's about freaking time he got recognized. It's funny. I really find myself becoming a big Baron Corbin fan now that he's developed a personality. He's been fleshed out. Yeah, I'm fully on board. You know what, Austin Aries? Lay there and die, you piece of crap. Yeah.
And I'm also going to say, just because I know there's probably some controversy behind that statement, when I say Batista, I mean heel, entertaining, amazing Batista from his most recent runs, not crappy babyface generic. I love this company, Batista.
Exactly. No, I got what you meant, man. I hope everybody else
did. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not at all surprised that you got what I meant. I just wanted to make sure that our audience knew what I meant.
Absolutely. So, guys, I mean, what do you think of Austin Aries being in NXT? That's a question I want to field out there, because I'm excited enough, legitimately. But
I think it's one of those things where I'm far more excited for Aries being in NXT than I was for James Storm, but I would put him a notch below Joe.
That's actually a perfect ranking. Actually, that's perfectly articulated. Because, I would say he's above Storm for me. Definitely below Joe for me. And then Nakamura is just in the stratosphere laughing at everybody else. Yeah. Like, he's just like, that's
I was more looking at TNA guys, though.
Yeah. Oh, thank God he never went there. Oh, Shinsuke.
Nakamura, freaking Okada. I feel so bad for him. Well, I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, now we're all feeling bad for ourselves looking at him. But regardless, Austin Aries is in NXT, and I want to know sincerely if there are any Austin Aries marks. But it was just like, Austin Aries, because I'm happy.
And then they got their dreams crushed.
Hilarious.
God.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Hilarious.
All right, what came after this, brother?
Oh my God. After this, we had our third match of the night: Steve Cutler versus Elias Samson. The commentators did a really good job of telling a story here, because we got some Steve Cutler backstory. Apparently, he served as a Marine, so that's pretty big right there. That's going to instantly get him a lot of babyface credentials with a lot of people, and it should. And this was a solid match. Elias Samson. Here's my thing with Elias Samson. He's so good in the ring that I don't think people are realizing that, like, I think Elias Samson is one of the best in-ring workers that people don't give credit to. Like, obviously guys like Joe and Balor and Neville and Zayn all get all the credit that they deserve. I don't think Elias Samson gets anywhere close to as much credit as he deserves as far as his in-ring work goes. He's really good.
I have to agree with you. What struck me about Elias Samson, even from his debut, I just love how he works the ring, man.
Yeah.
Like, I love how he can be on the offensive with a guy, and then, you know what, maybe just stop in the middle and just kind of look around the crowd and laugh, or like he did tonight,
With the air guitar? Yeah.
Yeah, that was freaking great. I'm like, that's awesome. More of that, please. And really, he's provided. You know, it's not like he's been slowing down. Elias Samson's been consistent.
I
It's
want
funny.
Elias Samson to get into an actual feud so that we can get a 10, 15-minute match from him on a live special.
I agree. And you know what? I'm going to take a leap right now, and I'm hoping the pool's got some water in it because I'd hate to hit concrete, but this is just my honest feeling. When Joe finally leaves, and I do take into account Corbin, so I think when Joe leaves, Corbin will be top heel for me, but I don't think Elias Samson is far behind. I think he's got top heel potential with just his look and how he works. I think he is so good. I think when you start giving that man legitimate programs, he is going to take the ball and he is going to run with it, dude. And you know what? Yeah, I put Corbin as ahead of the class when Joe leaves because I think Joe's departure is pretty close at hand, if you want my honest view.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is that rumor that he's going to show up the night after WrestleMania on Raw.
Exactly, but I'll be honest, Corbin better watch himself because when Elias Samson starts working with guys and guys that are, beloved by NXT, he might overtake Corbin. I just really like what Elias Samson is about.
And he gets a lot of hate, too. He gets a lot of hate. And the thing is, too, I noticed that, here's the thing that I've noticed with a lot of NXT fans. NXT fans tend to, if somebody is a really good heel and they're really good at getting people to hate them, NXT fans, rather than being like, wow, that guy's such a good heel, I really hate him, they tend to kind of pick on these little tiny things that aren't perfect about the person and blow them out of proportion. Like with Corbin. Corbin is the perfect example. You and I have seen a lot in Corbin for a really long time, but for the longest time, people just didn't like him. And it was really, I think it was just because he was a really good heel and people were getting worked and they didn't want to admit that they were getting worked. So rather than being like, he's such a good heel, he's working me, they picked on him on these little tiny things like, oh, his torso looks like a face, or, oh, he only does X amount of moves and crap like that. But I will say, I think that's the kind of heat that Elias Samson's getting because people are picking on him for all these little things, talking about how, oh, I hate his gimmick. Oh, I hate this. I don't like that. This sucks. That sucks. But he is really, really good. And even if there are little tweaks that he can do to improve his gimmick, he's got tons of heat right now. He's so good.
I'm telling you guys, look out for Elias Samson because 2016 now is finally, starting to hit its stride. We're already in March. I think he is going to have one hell of a strong year. He's already started. I think it's only going to get better. Again, the first program he has is going to be a real telltale sign because when he's working with somebody and doing the promos and doing the hype, we're going to see the depth of his abilities. And I think they go pretty deep. I mean, that's just my assessment of the guy. I think anybody would be doing a disservice to themselves to write this guy off or to sell him short. I think he can go to distance. I think, again, he can eclipse Baron Corbin as that top heel when Joe leaves that vacancy. Elias Samson's something special. I think he's got a great look, just excellent physique. He knows how to play the character. I do wish Corey Graves would be more supportive because I think it'd be hypocritical to say I'm cool with it when JBL is supportive of babyfaces and we always rag on him for it. Yeah. Show that consistency, support the heels. But Corey Graves isn't going to do it anytime soon. And if I was to tell him to, he'd probably tell me to shut my mouth and I'd clam up certainly because it's Corey Graves. So the best we can do is just hope that Elias Samson keeps on, being him. Like even down to the last mannerism before the finisher with the shh of the crowd. Just so good. I mean, this guy really is a complete performer. And yeah, I love him, man. I'm so glad this guy's getting an opportunity to shine. So happy. So great stuff.
Yeah, man. He's going somewhere. I mean, that's the thing too, is like, he obviously has the look down. He's got the brooding down so that he can play heel or babyface with the brooding stuff. And I think the most important thing is he is really, really good in the ring. I think people underrate the hell out of Elias Samson as far as his in-ring work goes.
Oh, completely agree with you. Completely. I mean, you heard early on when he first came out, some people were saying, "Oh, I wish he would do more moves." And you and I had a nice discussion about that. Why would a heel have a plethora of maneuvers? Less is more for a heel. Because I think people always want to be amazed and bedazzled. I think that's kind of what pro wrestling has become. With the indie circuit and so many great high flyers and everything. Samson isn't that. He's never going to do like this triple twirl 630.
Right.
I even like that his finishers.
No, but what he will do is knee you in the face.
Exactly. He'll knee you in the face. And I even like, and I want to choose my words carefully here because I don't want to make it seem like I'm denigrating it, but that even his finisher is basic. Effective, hell yes. But, it's not overly flamboyant or flashy. It's just a really impressive looking neck breaker, So this guy's got it down to a science already. I think he's a prospect that people need to be paying more attention to and giving more thought to. And hell, I doubt it with the way that NXT Championship reigns go, but it wouldn't surprise me to see this guy as a contender at least before the year's up. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Up next, we had a Hype Bros promo. It seems like they're worried more now about actually focusing themselves on being successful and winning than, hooking up with chicks in the club, because they do kind of get more down and serious here. They say that they're going to rough the Vaudevillains up enough that they can't talk, since they always choose not to talk. And then when they leave, the Vaudevillains reveal that they were behind the set listening in on the Hype Bros promo, and they have these dastardly smiles on.
Okay, can I choke it out?
Oh boy.
Let's see. I liked Mojo Rawley's promo. Oh god. But yeah.
Wow, you were even specific. I thought you were just going to be generic and say I thought this was a good promo from the Hype Bros, but you specifically said Mojo.
No, I had to get it out. Oh god, that aftertaste. Oh god. But yeah,
I don't want to know what that tasted like, because
thankfully you don't have to. But seriously though, I liked what Mojo Rawley did here. It's amazing to me how a guy can come off so different when you just change the presentation, because the typical Mojo Rawley promo, and you know this, Ashton, because we've endured enough of them together, it's always high energy, in your face, obnoxious. Here, very reserved is the word I would use. Calm tone, everything, and I think it really enhanced the delivery. I like the line, hey Zach, they want to send a message where they don't say anything. How about we make it so they can never say anything again? And, you could tell that, and their voices conveyed determination. They were focused. Mojo even starts the promo, I'm glad that we lost. And you know what? That's refreshing, because he's taking it on the chin. He's saying, I'm glad we lost because we learned. NXT Tag Team Division is not a joke. We're not going to run roughshod over these guys. It's serious business. And more or less, even though he didn't say it outright, I think he kind of came across as, we've got to get serious. I liked what he did here. And our policy at TWitWoW. We can give guys flack 364 days of the year. If they do something right on 365, we will praise them for it. And I guess for Mojo Rawley, that day is here. This is day 365 for him, because I liked what he did. And then the Vaudevillains just looking all sinister, I think that fit the vibe they're going for lately, especially emerging from behind. I'll be honest, as a fan of the Vaudevillains, I was creeped out a little bit just seeing them emerge out of nowhere. Yeah. I thought that was well done. Honestly, when you look on this whole show, this might be the segment that goes most underappreciated by people, because I like the Vaudevillains, just the what they did with the emerging just out of nowhere. I'm like, ugh, God, you were there the whole time. And yeah, Mojo Rawley actually cut a good promo, in my opinion, for once. So who'd have thunk it, huh? There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. We have a Neville vignette. This is the second of our two vignettes building up to the main event, and it was pretty much just the whole, Neville is amazing. He does spectacular things, and Gravity doesn't know who the hell he is.
Yeah, great stuff.
So then we got the announcement that next week we're going to get Zayn versus Joe 2 out of 3 falls, and then we got our main event, Neville versus Finn Balor. And it was just as amazing as everyone thought it would be, and everyone was hyping it up to be after they watched it. I loved this match.
This was great.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This match really served as a reminder, and it's so funny that I've been talking about the guy lately, and then he gets a match like this, because I've been saying lately that I want Neville to be reestablished on the main roster. I want him to get something to do. I picked him to win the big Cruiserweight Open, or I said I wanted him to win at least, because I thought that'd be great for him. And then he gets this match, and what does he do with it? Well, he does what Neville does, and he reminds everybody, hey, I'm that damn good. And that's not to shortchange Finn Balor either. He's the NXT champion for a reason. This was a clinic from start to finish. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, you got Balor doing penalty kicks to Neville, and Neville just getting great strikes, great kicks to the midsection of Balor, and these two are just scratching and clawing back and forth. And then just the ending sequence was great. I mean, Neville missing the red arrow, and then Finn trying to capitalize, but then Neville averts that, and it really just comes down to a lot like Apollo Crews. Finn finally gets control. I believe it was another sling blade, then the shotgun kick. Or no, it was a clothesline he did. It was a clothesline he did. He spun Neville around.
He caught Neville's kick and then spun him around and destroyed him with a freaking lariat that just turned Neville inside out.
Yeah, and then he gets the coup de grace and then follows it up. So that's the second time now we've seen him do that. That's a scary combination because I haven't seen anybody kick out of the coup de grace to begin with. And then you add Bloody Sunday to it. Who the hell is going to kick out of that? Like, holy shit. And yeah, Finn Balor gets the win with the coup de grace Bloody Sunday combo. And then after they have a show of respect. And I was just so happy that Neville got to have a match like this. And I think it kind of saddens me that my pessimism tells me that nobody in the upper offices, that's part of the main roster, watched that match and took notice. I'd like to be wrong. I'd like to believe that I was wrong. But they probably missed that effort, and they're probably putting Neville in a six-man tag against, I don't know, Cosmic Wasteland or something in the future. He's so much better than that, and this match really proved it. I'm not really talking up Finn as much because he's still in NXT. He's still in a great place, and he's proud to be the NXT champion. He's one of the best right now. I will never shortchange Balor. But Neville, man, how he is being treated on the main roster is a crime when you look at gems that he put on like this. So, excellent matchup. I'm proud of both guys, and I can only hope for the best. Well, really for both guys' futures, but in particular, definitely Neville, because he could be doing so much more right now than what he is.
This was such a great match, too, in that both of these guys had so much respect for each other, and you could tell that all they wanted to do was make the other guy look amazing. And they did such amazing selling in this match to really convince you that no matter, how convincing or not the move was when it happened, it hurt. That was like the whole thing, and I loved it. It was just so good. I loved this. I agree with you too. I think that this match really did reinforce the idea that Neville is so underappreciated on the main roster, so underutilized, and they're missing out on him big time. And to me, the fact that he's not at least in contention for one of the mid-card titles is ridiculous, because he could, whether it was the U.S. title with Kalisto and the League of Nations or Owens, regardless, he could be putting on clinics every single week with somebody.
I mean, dude, I want to believe that a future WWE sees these guys headlining a pay-per-view. That's what I want to believe, because honestly, if a match like this headline, the last pay-per-view we got was Fastlane, and this was the main event of that pay-per-view we got, I wouldn't have minded it one bit. I would have been, screaming my head off just into it, especially if a title was at stake. It's funny, because Finn Balor doesn't want to leave NXT, and I think matches like this serve as the perfect proof why. Yeah, I know in NXT, I get treated like the performer and the workhorse that I am. I get to put on quality and, really, by WWE's main roster standards, certainly pay-per-view caliber matches, and that's what everybody expects of me, and I'm the man here. I am king. We've often said with Finn Balor, we said it as soon as he walked in the door. Everybody, across the spectrum said, Vince, if you screw this up, we will physically kill you, famous by heel book. And before, I used to think, nah, no way. No way. Balor's easy. It writes itself. Just let him go out and do his thing. But looking at this WrestleMania 32 card and just looking how they've, really tried to force Roman Reigns and just really where their priorities are, I'm not sure of anything anymore. And I'm glad that Finn Balor is NXT champion. I'm glad that he's leading the charge at NXT. And man, nobody's going to knock him off his perch. I'm very curious at this point who is going to end his title reign, because he just looks unstoppable. He looks so strong in this match, as he should, because he's the world champion. It was just such a competitive matchup. Both guys looked phenomenal. And Finn honestly came out of this match, winning this match, as probably the most dominant-looking champion in the company. It's because, the world champion on the main roster is Triple H, who's the COO, so obviously he's not defending the thing. He's just doing whatever. Finn is just in another league right now, so good on him.
Yeah, Finn is, Neville is the longest reigning NXT champion of all time, and I think even still we might be able to call it safe to say that he's the greatest NXT champion of all time, but Finn is on his heels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Without question. This guy, what he has accomplished, from coming in the door, from the word go, and then being NXT champion and having that title reign. Yeah, I've said multiple times, and I'm not backtracking, that I am ready for a title change any day now. It could come at Dallas, but that is not to be conflated with that I do not recognize and I do not appreciate what that man has done for the NXT championship, and by extension, NXT. He is well liked. If anybody's even seen the exchanges that him and Bayley have been having recently at live events, just such a likable guy.
Yeah.
He strikes me as, he strikes me as, when you read the biographies of NXT wrestlers, like years down the road, they're going to describe Finn as like that locker room leader. He just kind of exudes that presence to me.
Yeah.
He deserves the success, and you know what? I don't know whether to call it, when he finally does come into the main roster, a eulogy or a celebration, because you just don't know what you're going to get with main roster Balor. And I think I kind of use that. My tone is kind of meant to be just a warning to everybody. If you're a Finn Balor fan, hold tight to these moments, because I don't know anymore what the main roster really is for NXT talents like Finn Balor. Do I think they're going to shortchange him? I'd like to think not. I genuinely believe not, but a degree of uncertainty does exist. I can't say that for NXT. With NXT, they have my fullest confidence, and it's earned with matches like this. So if you're a Balor fan, hold tight, and if you're a Neville fan, it must have been nice to dip back in the pool for once before he had to come back up for the air known as reality, because he killed it. This is a quality main event.
Yeah, this was a really, really good match. And I agree with your points, all of them really wholeheartedly, regarding Balor and the main roster. It's kind of like I even said, I kind of had a moment of clarity this past, I want to say May or June, literally like a month or two before the NXT girls got called up, just telling everybody, like, this is the best it's ever going to be, because these NXT girls are going to get called up and it's never going to be the same again, because, NXT talents getting called up to the main roster doesn't make the main roster better. It makes the NXT talents worse. And I think that's been proven time and time and time again. 2 years running now, my most underutilized superstar of the year has been NXT talent in general, NXT call-ups to the main roster. So I don't think that trend is going to change anytime soon, and that's the exact reason why I'm very glad that we still have Balor in NXT, and quite frankly, kind of wish we would get Becky and Sasha and Sami, well, when he gets called up, which is inevitable. And, of course, Neville back in NXT.
No one could really contend your points. Yeah, it's such a shame to me that, because NXT's opening title screen, right? They say the future, next generation. And you should get jazzed when you see it. And I do get jazzed when I see it. But this isn't the developmental brand for a promotion, say, like Lucha Underground, where I can salivate for their future.
Yeah.
This is Raw. This is SmackDown, which SmackDown isn't horrendous, but it's always going to play second fiddle to Raw. It doesn't have its own identity yet. Now, I know there are rumors that it might get its own identity back, in which case maybe we can return to the table and we can talk. But for now, it's all about Raw, right? And Raw, as proven by this past Monday, is just 3 hours, most nights, of either passable, just barely bearable, or downright god-awful programming. These talents, all of them, deserve better than that. I think it is a heaping pile of shit that it's not even a guarantee that they're going to get it, that I have to worry about Finn Balor now. When he first walked in the door, you remember the bravado in my voice. Oh, his future's assured. What future? Because I look at Neville, who busted his hump in this match, and he's lucky to be in six-man tag matches with the Lucha Dragons, who nothing against them, but Neville, as you said earlier in our discussion, should at least be in contention for one of the mid-card titles. Not that that means much. Yeah, what were you going to say?
Well, and it's so funny that you bring up the Lucha Dragons as a joke, because they're another NXT entity that has been completely soiled.
Right, yeah. I mean, I was stoked for Kalisto, All-Man U.S. Champion, but man, have they just taken this mosquito thing and run it into the ground, and then, like, not even making a big deal anymore that he is the U.S. Champion because Sin Cara is back in the fold. I mean, this is NXT, and, I mean, they can talk about, oh, how impressive your performance center looks. I mean, it's equivalent to what NFL players train at, and they could talk about this and talk about that. Guess what? I'm happy for them, and I'm proud of them. But it doesn't really mean much if the main roster doesn't capitalize on that investment. Because what the fuck else did you pour all that money into for? And I'm sorry I'm getting hot here, people, but I have to, because they've built a quality performance center. They have. It looks top of the line. Me and Ashton have gotten to peek behind the curtain, as I'm sure many of you have, at the promo classes, you know, when those videos got leaked some time ago, and we've gotten to see the process. It is a very in-depth, nuanced process. I'm quite proud of it. The tragedy comes when the main roster doesn't recognize that these people have worked so hard to perfect their craft only to get, you know, maybe 5 minutes or forcing this stupid gimmick. I mean, Tyler Breeze, who could at least be an enhancement talent, is treated as a joke. You know, like, I just don't understand any of it. And again, Neville being the prime example, what are they even doing with him? He started out hot, and they gave him the breakout star of the year, which I appreciated, but they couldn't maintain that momentum. What's to say they're going to be able to maintain Balor's momentum? They have given me no reason to be confident, and when I look at matches like this, why should I want him to be quote-unquote promoted? It's a line of argumentation that many others have used. I'm certainly not original, but it doesn't make it any less true. And I'm proud of these guys for tearing the house down. The last show in the CFE arena, these guys got spoiled. Full Sail is going to be licking their chops next week. And you know what? They're going to get their appetite satiated because they got 2 out of 3 falls, Zayn, Joe.
Yep.
There's no passion for possibility like that on the main roster. None, because what you just told me is the guy, one half of the main event of WrestleMania, he's going to miss the next few weeks of Raw. Why? Because they know it's a failure. They know it is, because why else would you be hiding him somewhere? I understand selling a beatdown, but it's a broken nose. His lungs work, his heart works. I think he could walk out and give a beating right back if he really wanted to.
Well, and the funny thing, too, is they're trying to build him up as the next John Cena, but Cena only missed 1 week of Raw with the broken nose, with a legit broken nose.
Yeah, with a legit broken nose. What the hell are you doing? You know, I'd love to get into a conversation with you about Roadblock, but I'm assuming you and I will do preview and predictions for that show or something akin to it. We'll probably have some kind of discussion.
Actually, no, you know what? Now that I think about it, I think Cena did miss more than 1 Raw with that. I think he was out for a couple weeks, because I remember him being on talk shows and stuff.
Yeah, but, you know, to be fair, at least that was a legit broken nose.
Right.
This is only played up as kayfabe, and I don't know, man.
I don't think the WWE wants people to know it's kayfabe, though.
Well, I mean, no. Do I be an asshole? Fuck it, I'm gonna be an asshole. You know, I know they don't want it to, but when you look at the photos, I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, other than the blood, it was nowhere near as graphic as Cena's broken nose.
Oh, man, you know, and I keep, you know, saying, like, oh, Enzo and Cass, you know, when are they finally getting called up? I mean, do we even really want them to at this point? Because, like, as good as they are, and they're amazing. Like, I'm excited for the rematch against the Revival, even though I'm really confident they won't win. I think it'll be a great matchup. Hell, my tag team match of the year thus far has been TakeOver London. You know, them versus the Revival. That didn't happen
this year, brother.
Oh, that was, see, well, I always get my ears mixed up, but my favorite tag team match, I should say, to date on NXT was that match. And,
oh, wow, okay.
You know, oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. I mean, I love American Alpha, but they haven't had a match that quality yet. I don't think, because they really haven't been given the time yet, I think, to have a match like that, at least in my opinion.
I'd say their match against Gargano and Ciampa was pretty close to that, but I get what you're saying as far as the storyline goes.
Exactly. Like, you know, you need that in-depth program. But my point is, you don't get any of that kind of substance on the main roster. None. And until Raw can get its act together, I don't want Finn Balor to go anywhere. And that even includes, like, it doesn't mean he has to hold on to the NXT Championship. I just don't want him to go even after he drops it. We can find shit for him to do. Hell, maybe he can even do commentary for a little bit. I just don't want to see him get sucked into that emotionless, thankless void. Like, oh my God, I cringe just thinking about it. But anyway, I've said all I can about the main event. I've said all I can about the quality of these two talents, and I've said all I can about the quality of the NXT brand in general. So unless you have anything you want to add, we can move on.
All right, let's move on. And our last segment was a promo. Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn.
Yeah, hyping up the 2 out of 3 falls match. And, I love Joe's work here. He pretty much says, you know something, this should be easy. But it's not, but it hasn't been because somebody decided, to be ungrateful, more or less. And then Sami's like, oh, well, you want to talk about, gratitude. Your success, everything you've been doing was predicated on the hard work of others. Hard work like myself, a guy who's a former NXT champion. And this cakewalk of yours, it's over. You're not going to be getting anything at my expense anymore. And then Joe says, well, you know what? This whole match that we have next week really has a stroke of irony to it. Because when I came into NXT, I saved your career. And next week, I take it away.
Oh, I loved that line. So good.
I love Joe's heel character, dude. Best Samoa Joe ever, hands down. Oh my God, I just love that. And you know what? He does have a point. His debut was totally tied into Sami getting beat down by Kevin Owens and saving him from worse. And I love how he's brilliantly incorporated that into his heel character first, and he's done it twice now. Because first it was with Finn Balor. Oh, Finn, I carried you through the Dusty Classic. All you had to do was say yes to my challenge, and you did, but you didn't follow through. You weren't aggressive with that. You didn't protest Regal when he threw me in a battle royal. Now Sami Zayn, he does the same technique, except it's, Sami, I saved you, and this is how you repay me getting in my business. I love that he's making this character of false entitlement work. Yep. It's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and I gotta be honest, it's more nuanced because of its sense of continuity and everything than most things we see. So, yeah, I'm just in love with Samoa Joe right now. Dude, he is just on fire.
He's doing great work, man. He's doing great work. What else is there to say? Let's move on.
All right, high spots, low shots. Let's see, my low shot. Who is my low shot gonna be? You know what? My low shot is Santana Garrett.
Oh.
I enjoyed her. She was great, but she lost. She tapped out, gave one hell of a fight, but it just wasn't enough. So she's my low shot tonight. Who's your low shot?
My low shot is, let's see. Let's go with the obvious choice, man. Let's just go with Neville. I mean, he lost the main event. This was a huge match. It was a kind of an opportunity for him to come back to NXT and prove that he really is the greatest of all time in NXT and maybe get some footing under him back in the main roster. And he just, he put on an amazing match, but he did fall short.
Yeah, he did. All right, my high spot. You know what? I'm in a good mood after such a great discussion about NXT. My high spot's going to be Elias Samson. Not just because he won tonight, but because he hasn't even gotten started yet. If you think we're seeing Elias Samson at his best, people, his best isn't even ahead of him. His best is ahead of him, I should say. It's yet to be seen, guys. He is going to kill it. He won tonight. He knows his character. He's got it down to a science. Corey Graves may hate him. I love him. Give me more of Elias Samson wherever he drifts off to next. I'll be right there waiting. So Elias Samson is my high spot.
My high spot, funny enough, we were actually talking about this guy in our Elias Samson discussion, Baron Corbin.
Yes.
He comes out, he gets his revenge on William Regal for denying him his rightful NXT title shot. He dominates and destroys Austin Aries, a new debuting Austin Aries. And I think he won a lot of people over with not only this segment, but over the last few months, I would say, but also with this segment.
Yeah, it's funny. The term Aries is the Roman god of war. And I feel like Baron Corbin just brought war to Austin Aries' doorstep. I mean, that attack was utter devastation. Unbelievable. I completely agree with you. Baron Corbin is phenomenal. With that said, is there anything else you want to say about NXT?
No, it was a solid show. It was fun. I even said on Twitter tonight, If I were to give Lucha Underground and NXT grades, I gave Lucha 9.5 out of 10 and NXT an 8.5 out of 10. Both were really, really solid shows tonight.
All right, guys, with that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers this week?
Who is going to be our number one contender?
Yeah, is it going to be Sami Zayn? Is it going to be Samoa Joe? Is it going to be another double pin? No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, who is going to be our next number one contender? Get that conversation started down in the comments. Be sure to take that conversation over to Pletov. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook. A lot of rabid NXT fans in that group, so you'll be right at home. Also, be sure to like the TWitWoW Facebook page, share our content around, interact with it as much as you like. Also, be sure to check out the TWitWoW subreddit. There you will find all of our TWitWoW content, and members of the subreddit can create their own threads on all things related to pro wrestling. That includes NXT. But if you want to get on the ground level, we are both on Twitter. You can follow us and interact with us to your heart's content. I am at John_TWitWoW. Ashton is at apond404. That is A, pond, the body of water, POND. 404. Be sure to follow us both, and we will see you again for our Thursday night SmackDown review as we continue down the road to WWE Roadblock, the final stop before WrestleMania 32. What's going to unfold? Well, you can be sure to check into TWitWoW for the best coverage of all the SmackDown fallout. Until then, tune in and peace out.